curiouser and curiouser. This is seriously almost funny. I was going to make a venting video, but I feel a bit shut down now. So before I go from a roaring lion to a whinging mouse. There's nothing wrong with my camcorder, because until I start recording there's a perfectly clear picture. So whether YouTube has the ability to interfere with or allow interference on recording on flag channels, I don't know. That's nice. I guess the thing, anger's a part of grieving, and my sister's dead since the 1st of May, I think she died, but officially recorded as the 2nd. And anger's a part of the grieving process. But what seems to have made me the most angry today is being screwed by my ex-husband in our divorce arrangements. Only finding out 10 years later, and realising that it could cost thousands to fight it in court. So it's that feeling of not only injustice but helplessness in the face of it. So what he did was, first of all, got 100 grand in debt, and I was a signatory on his business, so he ran away back to England, left me as the joint signatory and the only locatable liable person. And eventually, when we went for divorce mediation, because he wanted to remarry, actually mediation was the secondary thing. I had a legal aid and a barrister and a meeting with the barrister in Dublin, and all ready to start and go. And then decided on mediation instead. I just felt it was too angry and mean to go down the barrister route, and believed him that we were both Christians and could negotiate reasonably for the boy's sake. So we spent 6 months going to mediation, agreed terms. I waived my legal right to half of his inheritance, with his father having died a couple of years earlier, and said anything that I'm entitled to in the divorce, I will assign it to our sons. And that was agreed on. And what happened was he didn't honour that. And so I could let go of me being screwed just to be rid of a toxic marriage. But now to be in the situation where my sons should have had 20 grand 10 years ago each, according to their English grandfather's will, and the mediated agreements of my divorce, I find that he didn't honour it. Nor will he put it right now. I've got one son, both sons, but one son in particular. That 20 grand would get him to surgery and fix his eyesight. Huge. And 20 grand wouldn't go amiss for the other son either. So I just today spoke with my ex's stepmother. And if she's telling the truth, she renegotiated Paul's father's will, the children and stepchildren was still children and grandchildren of Roy Herbert Disney were supposed to inherit when Barton Hamlet was sold, and when his other property, when his first wife, Paul's mum, had lived out her life in it. But certainly Barton Hamlet was supposed to be distributed on sale whenever the second wife chose to sell it. And thirdly, our mediated divorce arrangements were that my 50% share of Paul's inheritance was to be reassigned to our sons. So I'm told today that my sons aren't on the deeds of Barton Hamlet, which was the will was varied in 2005 when it was sold. Instead of paying out the children and the grandchildren per divorce agreement and Roy's will, Jenny was allowed to reinvest the money without myself being consulted or anybody acting on the boy's behalf being consulted. And not only was it renegotiated that they wouldn't cash out that part of the inheritance, although the will said that that was what was to happen, but the boys didn't get added in on Paul's share, because if they had, Jamie could borrow against his share in that property in England. It's worth about $250,000. Paul won't borrow against it. Gail won't borrow against it. She's not really her business to, but she had no right renegotiating either without the boys and with disregard. I know she saw our divorce terms, and I know Paul went and presented it that, oh, she's after Dad's inheritance or she's after my inheritance, which was a pure lie because I'd reassigned it to the boys. Just my share. So I don't know a solicitor. I don't particularly enjoy giving money to solicitors to fight court cases that take years to come to court. You know, the Bible says don't take Christians to court because, you know, you could resolve it with mediation. You make a spectacle of yourself. And a disgrace to the name of God. Make a show of yourselves. So I guess it's moving beyond. I've got no problem whistleblowing now, which I did as a child. I didn't tell. I only just reported my father after 50 years. Well, 58 years, but 50 years when I consciously could have reported him. It took me more than half a century. So I've broken that barrier. I do speak out when injustice happens. And I guess I've just gone to the next level, which is, but who will listen? And even if somebody listens, who will do anything? So I'm in the presence of a bit of despair that it's all futile. I was in the presence of rage, which I didn't want to vent on people that didn't deserve it, just because I'm so angry with my ex. I met somebody a couple of weeks ago who was at that level of anger with somebody and said, I understand why people murder. I feel so angry, I understand why people commit murder. Well, the pen's mightier than the sword. I'm not sounding very angry at all, actually. I suppose I've skipped over from the anger, effectively shut down by more frustration of technology not working and futility and people in the house where I don't feel free to scream and rant and rage. I remember going on my horse when Desi Riley jilted me, having, you know, courted me for 1.5 years and announced to the family that we were a couple and we were going to, you know, be together and so on, and then he ran away with a 24-year-old. And I remember that feeling of total I have to vent, and I used to ride my horse around country lanes and scream and howl and sob, and I thought nobody could hear me. And years later I found out that I must have cut a very strange figure, weeping and wailing like Lady Godiva, but not naked, weeping and wailing on my white, or my old grey mare, white is, you know, my white horse. So I probably will go for a walk afterwards, but I wanted to do a King Lear screaming at the ocean. But there is something not right about letting rip with misdirected anger. So, and really my ex is to be pitied, because even the same as my father, people that have ripped me off, they get ripped off much worse than me, than they rip me off. Like, how stupid are they? They think they're so wonderful, you know, pulling one over on me, and then somebody else sails in and steals everything. So it's more to be pitied than anything else. So I guess that's the bottom line of what I'm angry about at the moment. There's loads I could vent about, and I want to do a good old rant, but I need the camera to work, and I need you know, safe space to rage, like people recommend going into the middle of a field and screaming. And I must look up that clip from a movie. I'm mad as hell, though. Not going to put up with it anymore, because I sound like a lamb and not a lion. Okay, chocolate sundae, appalling visuals. Please God, let me sort this out before the interview tomorrow, that I don't get paid for anyway, and get trolled for, and get my life turned upside down for, but doing something's better than doing nothing. This too shall pass.